Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me for day 2 of the How Not to Lose Your Cool, especially when your kids do challenge. Thank you for coming back for the second day. Hello, Sandy. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you. Hello, Valerie and Christy and Bethany and Bill. Hello, Rachel. Hello, Teresa, Bethany, be kind. Beasley, thank you for being here. Just drop a little hello in the comments. Let us know where in the world you're coming from. Hi from Texas. Where is it that you live? One of my favorite things is that no matter where we are in the world, we have the same goal, and that is to help our kids with ADHD really thrive. And that's like the beautiful thing about technology, that we're able to have Zoom and Facebook groups and that we can come together and support each other. Hello from Montreal. Bonjour, Valerie from New Jersey. And let us know, how many kids do you have? What are their ages? Let's get to know each other a little bit in this group. And I really hope that you feel comfortable in this group. I hope that you feel that this is a safe place where you can express yourself, a safe place where you might feel a little bit vulnerable, or you might be trying some new and different things, maybe that you haven't tried before. I think we're all in this together. We all have kids with ADHD. We know the struggles, we know the triggers, we know how challenging it can be, and we all are here to help our kids. And I think that part of what makes me so excited about doing these live events is that I know the people who do these things are here because you want more than anything to help your child. Like, you would do anything for your child. So let me know in the comments if that's you, if you would do anything for your child. You can type like, that's me. And I think that if there's something about me that kind of drew you in or made you want to join this masterclass, we have something in common. Like, we're heart-centered. We're looking to shift the parenting paradigm. We're looking for a better way. We're looking for positive ways to parent our kids. We're looking, to be more conscious of our choices. And so that I'm so excited to share this space with you and this energy with you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. Yes, it totally resonates with you, Beasley. Bethany, you have a 10-year-old boy. You teach 3 kids with ADHD, ages 6 and 7. Valerie, you have 2 boys, 9 and 12. Denise, you have a 10-year-old son. Beasley, 3 kids. Twins are 11 and a 16-year-old. Okay. Hello, Be Kind from Elmwood, Ontario. You have 2 boys, 9 and 11, and our whole family has ADHD. Yeah. Oh, that sounds like my family, the 2 boys, 2 years apart. And well, I have ADHD, my husband doesn't, but I do say that even if it's only one person in the family has ADHD, we all really have it because we're all dealing with the ADHD, right? We're all dealing with it. You see my beautiful flowers? You'll probably notice, if you've been watching me for a while, I often have flowers in the background. I love flowers. And that's something that I do for me to put myself first, is to have flowers, whether they're picked from my garden or bought from the store or whatever it is. I like to do little things for me to remind myself that I'm an important human being too. And it helps me. These little things kind of help me to stay in that alignment of my intention. So I shared yesterday that my big intention is to raise incredible humans. So my own 2 sons, the humans that I help raising by teaching them. I'm a kindergarten teacher, the humans who are my clients, children's, all those things. But if I'm feeling depleted, exhausted, burnt out, it's going to be hard for me to raise incredible humans. But if I can do little things that fill up my own bucket, if I can find little pockets of pleasure, it makes it easier for me to be in alignment with my intention of raising incredible humans. Um, and I think that that's something that everybody here has the desire to do too, right? We want to raise our kids to be successful. We want them to feel fulfilled in life. We want them to, um, what's the word? It's jumped out of my brain. You ever heard that if you forget something, I'm doing the lazy 8. I'm doing the lazy 8 because I forgot something, and this is supposed to help trigger your memory. And my eyes are following my finger. It's going to come back to me. The word I'm looking for is going to come back to me. Resilient. That's the word. So that's a little trick I learned from Brain Gym. It's called Lazy Eights, and it's a nice activity to integrate the two hemispheres of the brain. And they say, like, if you walk, you walk into a room and you can't remember why you're there, or you can't find your keys or your phone or your purse or whatever it is. They say if you just do that lazy 8, so you're just doing an 8 on the side with your finger and your eyes are tracking, that will help you remember what you forgot. So there's a little brain hack that you can add to your toolbox. Speaking of, let's do one more little exercise from Brain Gym. If you watched the summit last weekend, Alma Galvin shared, it's called Thinking Caps, and it's from Brain Gym. And it's one of my favorite activities too. So this will take 1 minute. And I think it's a nice thing to do at the beginning of our call together. So what I'd like for you to do is make sure that you're comfortable sitting flat. So what I'd like for you to do, feet flat on the floor, feel the support from your chair. I see somebody has their microphone on. Sorry, I've got all these windows open. It's a little tricky. Beasley, you said you want your kids to thrive, not just survive. Yes, I love that. I love that. Okay, so what I'd like everyone to do is just take a deep breath in. Let it out slowly. And turn your head to one side as far as you can. And notice where you feel tension in your neck, your shoulders, maybe your head. Notice how far your vision can see. Like, what's the furthest thing that your eyes can focus on? Come back to center. And then do the same thing the other way. Notice where the tension is in your neck, your head, your shoulders, your back. And try to focus on something that's like the furthest that your eyes can see. Come back to center. Okay, so now what we're going to do is thinking caps. In my classroom, we call it listening ears because this helps your ears to listen. It helps you to hear. It helps you to focus, block out things that are distracting. So this is great for us to do before we begin our meeting, but it's also great for you to teach your kids. So we're going to take our thumb and our Peter pointer, and we're going to pinch and unroll the ears. So we're giving ourselves a nice ear massage going all the way down. And when I say this to my kindergarten kids, I always just say pinch and unroll, pinch and unroll. And then when we get to the bottom, we're going to give it an extra little tug, 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 tug. And we want to give lots of extra love to this part of our ear because that's the part of the ear that is connected to your brain. So let's go back and do that again. So pinching and unrolling, massaging your ears. So this is really good because there's all these pressure points in our ears that are connected with all the different points in the body. So by massaging your ears, it's like reflexology has all the points on the bottom of the feet. So does the ears have all the points. So when you get to the bottom, give it an extra tug, 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 tug. And then let's do it again. And this time, let's set our intention while we're massaging our ears. So our intention for our call today might be to have one new strategy or to learn something new, to have an aha, Maybe we're going to learn 3 new things, whatever it is. Let's set the intention for the call. And at the end of the meeting, we'll come back to those intentions. Okay, get to the bottom and tug, tug, tug. Now, turn your head and see how far you can go. See if you're able to turn your head further, if you're able to focus further, and notice if you still have that same amount of tension. Go to the other side. And if you can, just type in the comments and let me know what that experience was like for you. Were you able to turn your head further? Was there a difference in the tension? Maybe you even notice a difference in your voice, or maybe you noticed a difference in my voice. What was that experience like for you? Let me know. And I'm just going to, my computer is doing something. I can only see me. I can't see anybody else right now. Where are you guys? Oh, there you are. Okay. Okay. Let me know in the comments. Did you notice anything? Yes. Be kind. Definitely looser. There's less tension. Isn't that cool? Yay, Bethany, you do that with your students. I do it with my students all the time. Every time, like we sit down on the carpet for listening, I always say, turn on your listening ears, and they just automatically start doing it. I love it. Less tension, Christy. Good. Yay. So fun. So that's something you can do for yourself every day. And it takes less than a minute. It relieves some tension. So what happens is that when we're stressed, when we're in this fight, flight, or freeze mode, which we often are stressed out, the top vertebrae kind of lock up. And so it directs our hearing and our vision kind of just in front of us. And when we do this exercise, it loosens everything up, loosens up the vertebrae, and you're able to attend better and you're able to see further as well. So it's really cool. Okay, so if you'd like to share your intentions also in the comments, what are your intentions for this call? Is it to learn 3 new things, 1 new strategy, whatever it is? You can type it in the comments or just jot it down on your own paper. And some of the things that I say during this challenge, notice how you feel about the things I'm saying. Like some of the things that I'm saying, you might think, yes, 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 that's so true. I want to do that. Or some of the things that I say, you might think, oh, I don't agree with that, or I don't feel that, or that feels uncomfortable. And all of that's okay. Just notice how you're feeling. And sometimes when we're feeling a resistance, when we're feeling uncomfortable, that's actually a really good sign, because it means that our brains are growing and learning and changing, or we're questioning. We want to question our thoughts. Okay. Yay, Sandy. You've already learned something new. Awesome. Okay. I'm also curious, how many of you have done this challenge with me before? This is my 4th time doing this. I think it's my 4th time doing this challenge. And it's a little bit different each time because I am always learning, growing, evolving. I'm a lifelong learner. So I'm always reading or doing my own webinars, my own online masterclasses. And I have mentors and coaches that I follow and learn from. I did a lot of work this summer on self-regulation through the Merit Center with Dr. Susan Hopkins and Dr. Stuart Shanker. I did a lot of work also this summer with Melanie Ann Lair. So I'm always like collecting information, assimilating it, and then sharing it with you. So this challenge is not always the same. I'm following the same guideline, the same ideas, but I think it gets richer and richer each time, in my opinion. Oh, and also my technology is getting better each time too. So I just wanted to mention, in our ADHD Village Facebook group, we have some new features. So at the very top, where there's things that are pinned to the top, I have guides at the top now. Yay. So that's new for me. So there is a guide that has all our live videos. The Facebook Lives will be in the guide section. There is a guide section for all the homework challenges. So each day that it gets posted in the group, it will also be in that guide. Then I also have a guide for the YouTube links. So when I did the challenge last time, somebody asked me if I could post this on YouTube. And I was like, oh, like, what do I do? How do I do all these things? But I'm learning. So one of the advantages of so if you can't watch live, I highly recommend that you schedule time, if you can, within the 24 hours to watch the replay. It just helps you stay in the energy, helps you stay in the flow. So YouTube can be helpful for that for a few reasons. You can speed me up. So that's really beneficial. Some people like to watch it at 1.5 speed or 2 times the speed. So that's kind of cool. Also, if you're like me, I know that they tell us not to multitask, that we're more efficient when we do one thing at a time. My ADHD brain loves multitasking. So when I'm watching these kinds of things, I often like to do multiple things at the same time. So it's easier to do that on the YouTube link as compared to watching the Facebook Live, because if you're doing multiple things on your phone, for example, you have to be in Facebook while you're watching the Facebook Live, but you can have YouTube playing. Anyway, so that's cool. So in the guide section on in our Facebook group, there's the YouTube links as well. And one more thing. Oh, somebody just said, actually, you like to pause. Yeah, that's the cool thing about watching the replay too, is that if there's something that you really want to tune into, you can press pause. So some people watch the first time live and they just feel, they just think, they just watch, and they don't take any notes or anything. They're just in the moment. And then they go back a second time and then they watch it and they take their notes. So yeah, so there's more options with that YouTube link available. I'll also share it with you in an email, but it does take me a little while to share because Zoom has to convert the video for, I think it's called convert something. It has to do something to the video first. And then I have to upload it to YouTube, and my internet's a little bit slow. So it takes a while. And usually by the time I'm done the challenge, it's bedtime for my kids. So that means I've got to wait till the next morning. So I will share the link. It just will take me a little bit of time. And then also in the guide section, I have the graphics for the challenge. So thank you to those of you who were typing little comments in yesterday from the, like, if there was a quote, if there was something I said that kind of resonated with you. Jenny, you did a great job doing that. Thank you. I appreciate it. I can take those quotes, change them into little graphics for you. So if you want to take a screenshot and keep it on your phone as a reminder, or print them out and stick them on your fridge, or share it on your social media, whatever you'd like, you'll have that little graphic. So hi, Graciela, glad you're here. No worries about being late. Totally get it. Yeah, so those graphics are kind of fun. I love when my mentors share graphics of the quotes. I love it. I love quotes too. So anyway, so that's kind of some of the housekeeping. Thank you to everybody for sharing with friends, with family, through emails, through social, that I'm taking note of who's sharing, and you are getting extra, your name put in extra times for the draw. Also, lots of you did your homework. Thank you. Some of you are not on Facebook, so you emailed me your homework. I totally appreciate that. Thank you. So on Thursday, I'll be doing a draw, and the grand prize will be a 1-month membership to the ADHD Warrior Mama, which is my signature transformational 1-year program, which is absolutely like, it's so fabulous. I don't even know, like, I'm so excited about this. It's everything that I wish I had known 10 years ago, basically. And the community and the love in that group is just out of this world. So that's the grand prize. Then I'm also gifting an all access VIP pass to one of my previous summits, either Calming the ADHD Chaos or Calming the ADHD Family. And then I have a fabulous virtual retreat that is beginning in November that Sarah Nicorak Sarah Nicorak is a master neuro coach. She is an RRT. Oh, now I can therapist, RRT practitioner. That's the word. So it's the rapid relief technique practitioner, which is Sarah Longoria's version of the emotional freedom technique tapping. So Sarah is just a wealth of knowledge. She's a beautiful human, and her and I have been working for nearly half a year organizing this virtual retreat. It's called Putting Mama First. So there will also be a prize for that on Thursday. Okay. And the way that you get entered in the draw is by doing your homework and by sharing. So yesterday we talked about the importance of caring for our own emotions and our own energy, because we are the leaders in our family. And sorry, I'm just checking Facebook to see who's on here. We are the leaders in our family. We set the tone for our family. Our kids pick up on our energy and emotions and they follow. So taking care of our own emotions and our own energy is really important. And we are also human beings, and our emotions and our energy are important too, not just so that we can co-regulate our kids and take care of our kids, but because we're valuable and important too. So for the homework yesterday, I asked you to really think about what triggers you and question, why do those things trigger you? So it's really important, if we want to keep our cool, to figure out what gets our blood boiling. So I think it is safe to say that we are more easily triggered when our energy and emotions are low, when we're depleted, exhausted, burnt out, when we feel like we have nothing left to give. And then we're more reactive. Would you agree? Let me know if you agree with that statement. Compared to if we're filling up our cup and doing things for ourselves and we're feeling good, then we're less likely to be triggered. So an example, I love this example. I'm going to twist it, but it comes from Sarah. Sarah gave me this idea. So think about like when you were many of us were working virtually from home during different lockdowns, and our kids were at home doing their schoolwork. And so your kid walks into the room and says, "Mom, like I need whatever it is." So if you're in that place where you're depleted, exhausted, burnt out, stressed, all the things, and your kid walks in the room and says, "Mom," if you're like me, when I'm feeling those things, I might say, "What?" Or, "Can I just have 5 minutes to myself? Is that too much to ask for? Like, just, I'm working, like, give me a break." Or do you know what I mean? Like like we're reactive, we're triggered. Whereas if we are taking care of ourselves, maybe we've had a good sleep, we've had lots of water to drink, we've had like a beautiful protein filled breakfast, maybe we've got flowers in the background, essential oils diffusing. If we're in that better place, child walks in and says, "Mom," then I'm more likely to turn to my kid and say, "Yes, my sweet love." So Sarah's idea that she had shared with me, and I just love this, is that if you know, this is why it's good to know what your triggers are. If you know that it is triggering for you, for your child to walk in the room and say, "Mom," if that's a trigger for you, it's good to know, because now that you know what the trigger is, you can plan how you want to respond to that trigger. So Sarah's words were, "Yes, my sweet love." So when her daughter walks in the room, it's, "Yes, my sweet love." So you can maybe take a look back at what you wrote down for things that trigger you. Think about how you react when those things are triggering for you, and think about how you would like to react. And I'll give you another example from a child's perspective. So let's say in your family, 4 o'clock is homework time. Kids get home from school at 3:30, and in your family, 4 o'clock is when you like your kids to sit down and do homework. So let's say your child had a great day at school. The last period of the day was phys ed, which they love. They played their favorite game in phys ed class. When your child got home, you gave them a big hug. You gave them a snack with protein. maybe you picked your child up from school and you walked home together, so you had that extra movement and energy and fresh air. Maybe on that walk home you talked about something your child's excited about, like a video game that they're all into, or maybe there's their favorite YouTuber is releasing a new episode of their show and they're all chatting and excited about that. Maybe you even like play like some silly little tag game or I Spy or something on the way home. Then when it's 4 o'clock and you say, okay, it's time to do homework, your child is filled up with all this goodness, all this good energy, good endorphins, love and connection, all the things. They're more likely to open up their homework and begin. Whereas if your child is depleted, maybe they had a crappy day at school. Maybe at lunchtime, they didn't really eat very much. That often happens. They get distracted. They're busy talking or whatever it is. Maybe they're still not hungry because they're on medications and the appetite hasn't kicked in yet, whatever it is. Maybe at recess time, they were not included. That hurts. Maybe at the end of the day, there was a reading assignment and they just had a hard time focusing. Maybe they were asked to read something out loud and they stumbled on their words because their eyes weren't tracking or they were distracted and then they were embarrassed. Maybe somebody even laughed at them. Maybe that day wasn't a day when they walked home from school. Maybe they had to take the school bus home, and the school bus can be really overstimulating. There's a lot of noise on that bus and a lot of chaos, right? There's one adult in the bus. They're at the front of the bus driving, and then all these rows of kids that bus driver is supposed to also be managing. Like, that's chaos. They're hungry. And then maybe they have a snack or maybe they don't have a snack. Maybe it's not a healthy snack. Maybe it's like, or maybe it's like apple and chips, but there's no protein to like give them that boost that they need. Now 4 o'clock rolls around and you say, okay, open up your books. Let's do homework. And it's a hell no. And you know what their hell no's look like? It could be like, oh no, I'm not doing that. I don't, or oh, so tired. I don't feel like it. Do I have to do it? Please, I can do it tomorrow. Or it's like throwing their body down on the floor, like crying that they're not doing, or maybe they're older and they're crying, like, I don't want to do, like they're depleted. And that just that, okay, let's start our homework is a big trigger for them when they're depleted. They're going to have a big reaction. So it's just, it's good to keep that open mind, get curious about all these factors that are contributing to behavior, our behavior and their behavior. Speaking of triggers, so you did a fantastic job sharing things yesterday for your homework, things that are triggering for you. So these are some of the ideas that I saw in the homework. So not being seen or heard, being ignored, not being listened to, loud noises, our kids screaming, yelling. Sorry, I just see Jenny said, if you know you need to do things with your child that can be difficult, such as homework, try. And then the comment went away. Sorry, Jenny, I didn't see what you said. Okay, so back to the triggers. So your kids screaming, yelling, crying can be triggering for you. Rejection. And the mom who wrote this said, like, her teen just doesn't accept her suggestions. Like, we know all these great things that can help our kids, but sometimes they just don't want to listen to us. Having to redo things, especially when our time and our energy is limited. Swearing. So that could be your kids swearing at you, saying all the things, or just swearing in general, especially in front of their younger siblings. Siblings fighting can be very triggering. Denise said that when her son is disrespectful or not appreciative or not listening to her, it hurts, like she feels hurt. And she has the thought that she expects more from her son, and then she's let down. And then when she's let down, she feels guilty for feeling left down. So there's that layer of guilt on top. And then like she's thinking, well, my child's so lovely, he can't help it. Like, what kind of mother am I for feeling let down about this? Um, some other parents shared always having to check in on their children, never having a peaceful home, and then the negative self-talk about that, blaming yourself that your home is not peaceful, lying. Melissa shared that she also has ADHD, and hearing her child say that he is stupid and can't do anything is very triggering because it brings up her own childhood memories and struggles. So I'm so glad that you shared that, Melissa, because when we think about what's triggering us, there's something that happens that's a trigger. We have a thought about what is happening, and that creates a feeling. So, for example, something that's happening, my child says a swear word that triggers me. I have a thought about that. My thought might be that's inappropriate language, that's rude, that's disrespectful. My thought could be, I hope nobody heard him say that. What will people think about me if they hear my child talking like that? So you have these thoughts, and that creates the feelings. So the feeling could be anger, disappointment, embarrassment, feeling disrespected. And then if we really dig deep, and this is where I wanted you to go with your challenge yesterday, and if you didn't dig deep enough, go back and do it again. It's okay to kind of to do things once and then go back and take a deeper look at it. So if you said, for example, that you're triggered by your kids fighting, or you're triggered when you feel like nobody's listening to you, go back and ask yourself why. And then ask why again and again, and ask why 7 times to get down to the root of why that's so triggering for you. And often, if you dig down deep enough, it comes to 3 basic needs: the need to feel loved, the need to feel safe, and the need to feel worthy. And this challenge is way too short for us to get into that, but that's something that we really get into in coaching and in the ADHD Warrior Mama program. And it's so freeing when you can get down to the root and clear out all that gunk. Anyway, everything that we do is to either avoid feeling pain, discomfort, disappointment, or to seek feeling pleasure. Beasley, you want to feel loved, safe, and the last one is worthy. So we want to feel like we're valued, like we're good enough. That's why yesterday we were talking about, like, am I doing enough? Like that seems to come up, like feeling like we're not doing a good enough job as a mom, or we're not doing enough. And that comes from that root of that need to feel worthy. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and type in the comments feelings that you would like to have. And if you're watching on Facebook, I don't know if you're able to open up another window, but in Facebook, I did share the graphic that I said I would share, and it's in the guides called graphics, and it's called How Are You Feeling? And it's a wheel, and it has all kinds of feeling words so that you can work on expanding your emotional vocabulary. So go ahead and type in the words for how you would like to feel. Let me open up the chat. How do you want to feel? Or what are the pleasant feelings? Maybe you want to feel joyful, happy, calm, and centered. Beasley, those are good. You want to feel respected, Valerie. I'll see if anyone's typing in Facebook. You want to feel satisfied. Even sometimes feeling neutral is a good feeling. Treasured, connected, peace, content, joy, unity with my son. That's like connected, happy, blissful, excited. Okay, and now go ahead and type in. And if you're watching on the replay, do this along with us too, please, because you're still getting the energy and the vibes. Type in the feelings that you don't want to feel. Those unpleasant, uncomfortable feelings that we don't like feeling, that we resist feeling. Ashamed, rejected, failure, ignored, disrespected, frustrated, hopeless, depleted, upset, angry, frustrated, left out, lost, guilty. Is it just me, or are these words coming much faster? Embarrassed than the positive ones? Just wondering. Ashamed, fear, out of control, failure, guilty. Yeah. Interesting that, yeah, it is coming out faster, right? Because 90% of our thoughts are negative. And also, maybe we're here because we are feeling more of these uncomfortable, unpleasant feelings. That's why we're here. Feeling like you're not doing enough. So what is that feeling word if you're not doing enough? Like in not valued, not valuable, or so we often categorize our feelings as good and bad. There's good feelings, there's bad feelings. And it's like we want to have all the good feelings. We want our kids to have all the good feelings, right? Nobody wants their kid to go to school and feel crummy. We don't want our kid to go to school and feel miserable, rejected, embarrassed, unsatisfied, right? We don't wish those things for our kids. We wish for our kids to feel happy and brave, curious, excited about learning. So it's like we categorize the feelings into the good feelings and the bad feelings. But what if I told you, like, there's no such thing as bad emotions? What if we found value in the uncomfortable emotions? So I like to think of them as comfortable and uncomfortable emotions, or pleasant and unpleasant emotions, rather than like good and bad. Because the goal in life isn't to avoid all the bad feelings and feel all the good feelings. We have to have the balance. And if we're feeling the good feelings 50% of the time and the bad feelings 50% of the time, that's part of the human experience. So often, like, we try so hard to avoid the feelings that are uncomfortable, lonely, isolated. Like, parenting kids with special needs can be isolating, guilty, ashamed. And how do we avoid those feelings? Maybe we distract ourselves, binge watching on Netflix. Maybe we try to cheer ourselves up by eating the whole chocolate cake or a ginormous ice cream, or maybe a whole bottle of wine. Maybe we get online and do some online shopping. Yeah, retail therapy, Jenny. Yeah, right. So we have these feelings, and often we try to avoid them. We try to not feel them because they don't feel good. So we want a different feeling. But if you think about it, beautiful art, music, stories, they're often created from great sadness and pain. Change is made from anger, right? Like if you think throughout history, when change is made, something has happened that has triggered anger. And that anger is directed in a positive way to make change happen. So if we think that these uncomfortable feelings have a purpose, they're communicating something to us. Same with our kids' feelings. When they have these uncomfortable feelings, and it might look like kicking and screaming on the floor, or yelling at us, or hitting us, or throwing toys across the room, or punching their brother, or destroying their sister's Lego castle, or whatever it is, they're feeling these uncomfortable feelings. They don't know how to manage their uncomfortable feelings, but it is communication. It's telling us something. So the problem isn't having the uncomfortable feelings. It's not knowing what to do with the uncomfortable feelings. And when we were growing up, we weren't taught what to do with these feelings. Like, this is something that we're just learning more about, the emotional intelligence now in our adult years. It wasn't something that was a big thing in our childhood. Yet we're the ones that are expected to be teaching our kids these things, but we need to learn it for ourselves first. So the problems happen when we try to avoid these uncomfortable feelings. And we try to avoid our kids feeling the uncomfortable feelings too, because when they're uncomfortable, we're uncomfortable and we don't like it. Like, who likes to see their child crying? Nobody likes it. Who likes to see their kids so angry that they're hurting themselves? Like, nobody likes that. So we might say things like, "Oh, I see that you're sad. Let me cheer you up. Want a lollipop? Let's watch this funny show instead. Or let's go outside and play a game." So we're trying to distract. Or, "Don't cry. Like, it's okay. Like, really, that's nothing to cry about." So what if, instead of trying to distract them or trying to fix things or take the feelings away, what if we hold some space and we allow them to feel their feelings and let their feelings be felt? So it's really confusing for a child to be told there's nothing to cry about when their heart is hurting and they feel sadness and they feel like there's something to cry about. So then they feel like their sadness or their hurt is wrong. And we might have experienced that as kids. Like, when we were kids, maybe when we felt sad and our parents saw us sad, like maybe they were trying to distract us so we weren't feeling sad anymore. Or they'd say, like, "That's nothing to cry about. Don't worry about it. It's okay." And so that kind of gives us this mixed message that we're feeling one way, but we shouldn't be feeling that way. And now we're adults. And when we have these feelings, we now have guilt for having those feelings. And I'm not blaming our parents, because our parents do the best they can with what they have and what they know. And we know more now, so we can do better now. Yeah. So I have a little story to share. My lovely friend has a daughter in grade 5. And one day her daughter came home from school just in tears, just totally heartbroken. She was very excited. It's the beginning of the school year, and she was trying out for different teams, cross country and all these other teams. And the tryouts were at recess time. So her friend that she normally played with at recess time now was lonely at recess time. So her friend wrote her a note that said, "I don't want to be your friend anymore," and probably a few other hurtful things. So my friend's daughter, let's just call her Sophia, she read this note, was totally heartbroken, crying after school. And as adults, sorry, as adults, we didn't like to see Sophia crying. She's this sweet, happy, loving little girl, and her heart was broken, and we didn't want her to feel sad. So, like, we wanted to fix the problem, right? That's an instinct. Let me know in the comments if you would relate to that. Your instinct is to fix the problem. So from an adult point of view, like, we know that this note is trivial. We know that the girl who wrote the note was probably feeling hurt and lonely, and it's her way of communicating, right? That's her behavior. It's her way of communicating. And we know kids are kids and they'll probably sort it out and everything will just be fine. But in that moment for Sophia, this was big and it was painful. And if we had just said to her, don't cry, your friend didn't mean it, like everything will be okay, you guys will work it out. Um, or if we tried to get her to stop crying to distract her and make her feel better, that would actually just make her feel worse because she would feel like there was something wrong with her for feeling those feelings. So, on top of being hurt about her friend doing the thing, and she's probably having thoughts like, I did something wrong. My friend doesn't like me. Like, what if nobody else likes me because I'm on these teams? What if I lose all my friends? So, she's having all these thoughts. She's feeling sad. And then, as the adults, if we diminish that, then she's going to have more thoughts like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this sad about this. Like, my mom's saying it's not a big deal. So why am I making it into a big deal? What's wrong with me? So we have to be really mindful of this. We have to be really mindful about how we respond to our children in these situations. And again, this is why it's so important that we take care of our own emotions, our own energetics. We take care of ourselves because our kids need a lot from us. And if we're empty and depleted, we have nothing to give. So if this kind of situation's happening and you're sleep deprived, you've had a horrible day, and all the things, you're feeling stressed about your to-do list that, you've only done one thing and there's 29 more things to do. And you're already feeling guilty about the fight you had with your husband in the morning and your son's homework wasn't done and all the things. And then this happens, you have less to give. So anyway, instead we held space for her. And my friend is so lovely. She just hugged her and rubbed her back and just let her cry and let her say all the things that she wanted to say and get it out, get the feelings out of her body. We don't want to shove those feelings down. I love the image of a beach ball. When you push a beach ball under the water, it eventually pops up and explodes, right? So if we shove our feelings down, we're just shoving them deep into our body. Eventually, we're going to explode. And we know this, right? Like, we shove our own feelings down all the time. I shouldn't be mad about this. I shouldn't be angry about this. Shove, shove, shove. And then we have our explosions. While we listened to her, we validated her. We didn't necessarily agree with everything she was saying, but we validated her feelings. Like, yeah, I would feel sad too. And I know what it's like when a friend is mad, and it doesn't feel good to have a friend mad at you. It doesn't feel good when your friend's mad at you. I get it. So we didn't try to fix anything. We just let her feel her feelings, get her feelings out. And so that's something really important to listen to your kids when they have feelings to share, validate their feelings, maybe give them some of the emotional literacy language. Like, maybe they don't have the words, but you can give them the words. Like, that must feel, disappointing. So think about it. How many times have we felt sad about our children's situations that they're in? So maybe a friend has hurt their feelings. Maybe they weren't invited to a party. Maybe we're watching how hard they struggle to fit in, only to be rejected and misunderstood. And what do we do with our sadness? Well, we have thoughts about our sadness, and our thoughts are rational, but our feelings are not rational. So maybe we convince ourselves not to be sad. Like, I shouldn't be sad about whatever it is. And then maybe we try to like give ourselves like a cheerleading kind of pep talk. Like, I shouldn't be sad about this. Like, my kid's healthy. There's so many other things to be sad about in the world. Like, I don't need to be sad about this. Why don't I think about what I'm thankful for? Or maybe we push it down and we tell ourselves, well, this isn't helpful to feel sad. So we just kind of push it away. And by having these thoughts, what we're doing is we're compounding the sadness by feeling ashamed that we're sad or embarrassed, or maybe we're angry at ourselves for being sad. So now we're compounding. Yes, Jenny, the toxic positivity doesn't help at all, right? Yesterday, I was talking about catching your thoughts. If you can catch your thoughts and try on another thought, That's great. But sometimes your thought is already wrapped up in an emotion. And when your thought is wrapped up in an emotion, you don't want to shove it away and ignore it. You want to deal with it. So, what if we allowed ourselves time to feel the feelings? Like we, as the parents, allow ourselves time to feel our feelings. Maybe we need to grieve and feel our sadness, because when we were first, having these babies, when we were planning our children, we had these beautiful plans for the future. We weren't planning to have a child with neurodiversities that was going to have all these struggles. Like nobody plans that. But this is the child we have, and we need to love the child we have, which we do, of course. But have you allowed yourself a chance to grieve that loss of what you thought things would be like? Right? Have some compassion for ourselves. It's okay. And while you're feeling sad, like, what if you're sad in a beautiful way? Like, what if you snuggle with your pet, or you listen? Remember, like when we were young, maybe I'm way older than you guys, but when I was young, when there was a breakup, I would make like a mixed tape with like sad breakup songs and play those songs and sing them while crying. Like there's a beautiful way to feel your sadness. Or maybe you have a bubble bath and you just cry into the bubbles and you allow like your tears to wash in with the bath water. Like go ahead and feel the feelings. And then once you've felt the feelings and you've let them out, then it's time to be rational. And then you can go to your positive thoughts. But first, allow yourself to feel the feelings first, so that they're not stuck in your body doing damage. And if you're somebody who works with me, with private coaching or with the Warrior Mama program, we do a lot of tapping, which I had mentioned earlier. We do the rapid relief tapping to really work through our emotions and get them unstuck and out of our body. And that's something I can get into at another time. You know the movie Inside Out? When sadness and joy, they get stuck in some part of the brain, and they meet that character. He's the elephant. I think his name's Billabong or something like that. Anyway, he's feeling really sad and hopeless, and joy tries to cheer him up by like being silly and making silly faces. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about, or am I just being ridiculous now? Let me know if you've seen the movie. Anyway, so joy tries to cheer him up by being silly, and it really doesn't help him, because what he needs in that moment is to feel sad. So sadness actually just sits beside him, so she lets her body language, her facial expression, her tone of voice match his. And she's sad, right? So sadness. And she says, "Oh, I know what it's like to be sad." She validates him. She listens to him. And when we do this, so when sadness did that for I think his name's Billabong, I don't know, something like that. But when she did that for him, he was able to talk. He was able to feel his feelings. And that's what made him feel better. It wasn't the distracting and cheering up. He had to feel his feelings before he could move on. And often feeling our feelings might not take long. Like maybe it's just a couple of minutes and then the feeling will pass. Feelings come and feelings go. They're not forever. We don't need to be afraid to feel them. Feelings are emotions, which is energy in motion. Feeling, bing bong. Thank you, Bethany. So feelings are energy in motion. They're vibrations in our body. And when we're not afraid to feel them, that is really empowering. So just something to kind of think about. When our kids are acting out or misbehaving. So remember, their behavior is communication. So there's a quote that I really love. And the quote goes like this. Beneath every behavior, there is a feeling. And beneath that feeling, there is a need. And when we meet that need, rather than focus on the behavior, we begin to deal with the cause and not the symptom. And I think that is really a beautiful quote. Okay, I'll repeat it. Beneath every behavior, there is a feeling. And I like the image of the iceberg. So if you picture an iceberg, you just see like a little bit, which is the tip of the iceberg, which is above the water. So the tip of the iceberg is the behavior. Beneath the water, what you can't see, that's the feeling. So it says, the quote is, and then beneath the feeling beneath every behavior, there is a feeling. And then beneath that feeling, there is a need. So what I talked about at the beginning about, if we ask ourselves about our triggers and we dig down deep enough, why, we'll get to a need. And the needs are the need to feel loved, safe, and valued or worthy. When we meet that need, rather than focus on the behavior, we begin to deal with the cause and not the symptom. So going back to the story of my friend's daughter, Sophia, being sad about the note from her friend. So the behavior was her crying. That was the behavior that we were seeing. Her feeling was sadness. And beneath that sadness, which need do you think was not being met for her? The need to feel loved, the need to feel safe, or the need to feel valued? So I think for her, it was the need to feel loved. Like she wasn't feeling that love, that connection from her friend. So by taking the time to hold space for her, let her feel her feelings, listen to her, validate her, we were actually supporting that need for her to feel loved because she was feeling love from her mom. And there is science that backs this up. This is what I love about the coaching that I do. Everything is backed with neuroscience. So when you listen deeply to anyone, your child, your spouse, friend, when you listen deeply and when you validate someone's feelings, what you are doing is you are allowing oxytocin to be released into their bloodstream. It's also released into your own bloodstream, into both of your bloodstreams. And when this happens, there's a calming effect. So when oxytocin is released, you calm down. And as it's being released, your body cannot release cortisol, the stress hormone, at the same time. Those two things cannot be released at the same time. So by listening deeply and validating feelings, you're allowing your child to release oxytocin into their bloodstream. That helps them to feel calm. It helps them to feel safe. It helps them to feel connected. So our kids' behaviors, we have to keep in mind, they're communicating their feelings and their needs. And our kids have these feelings and they don't know how to process their feelings in a healthy way. So maybe they're angry and they smash their brother's toy or kick their sister. So they have these big feelings in their body, these vibrations in their body, and they don't know what to do. So maybe they throw themselves on the floor and they kick and they scream, or they swear right into your face, or slam the door, or tell you you are the worst mother in the world and you're ruining their life. If we focus on those behaviors, we're not getting to the root cause. We have to really look underneath the behaviors. And I think it's so helpful when these behaviors happen to just, if we can, take a step back and get curious. What are they feeling? Because if we realize that our child is hurt or lonely or sad, and that's driving the behavior, well, telling them not to throw the toy across the room isn't going to help with that feeling of sadness, or that the fact that they're feeling not loved, right? That's not going to fix anything. So dealing with the symptoms doesn't fix anything. We want to get deeper. And we want to teach our kids too how to process their feelings in in acceptable ways. Yes, Jenny, get curious, not furious. That's one that I often say. Yeah. So, we don't want our kids to be afraid of their feelings either. So this is where the emotional literacy really comes in. And you can build it in through, like, when you're reading books or watching movies, or when you're having your own feelings, like, oh, I'm so frustrated right now, just labeling your feelings, and helping your child, and you do it too for yourself, help, like, notice what those feelings feel like in your body. Do you feel hot prickles on your face? Do you feel like your muscles tensing up? So we want to help our kids to recognize the feelings in their body. We want them to be able to label their emotions. Like, we want them to know what anger feels like. So when anger comes into their body, we can give them some strategies for what they can do with that anger, besides smashing their brother's Lego and kicking their sister and throwing themselves on the floor. We certainly don't want to be saying things to them like it's not worth crying over and don't be angry. And so we want to help them to know that it's okay to feel the emotions, to feel them, and then give them ways that they can cope with their emotions. Our brains, the way our brains work, the way, when we think about what triggers us now, it's often when there's something like a mismatch between this idea we have in our brain compared to what's happening in our reality. So when we are young, between the ages of 0 and 7 years, our brain is in these theta waves. And it's basically like our brain is like this big, wide open subconscious. And everything that we experience, we believe to be true at that time. So it could be, things that our parents tell us. It could be things we see on TV. We believe it to be true. So, and then when we grow up and we become adults and something is contradicting that belief that was formed when we were 6 years old, it can be really triggering for us. For example, when you were young, if you were told not to be sad or not to be mad, and then you believe that those feelings are bad because you're not supposed to feel them, you're supposed to distract yourself with a lollipop or a funny TV show, or smile and not worry about it or whatever. So that wires into our subconscious brain that those feelings, those uncomfortable feelings, are bad. So as adults, when we feel these unpleasant feelings, we feel bad about having the feelings, which compounds the problem. And then we try our best to suppress the feelings, and eventually we explode like that beach ball that explodes. So it also means that when our children are having unpleasant feelings, we want to stop those feelings by soothing them or trying to fix the problem so that they can feel better. And then we can't blame ourselves like for this, right? Like, this is the way our brains have been wired. This is in our coding. We can't blame ourselves. We can't blame our parents. It's the way things are. But what we can do now is we can be more conscious of what's going on. And this is where coaching is so exciting, because it helps you look at your thoughts and become more consciously aware of things. So if you think about it, like when you were a child, maybe you watched TV shows like the Brady Bunch, and you had this idea of what a perfect family should look like and how they should solve problems and how the kids should behave and all those things. So you have this image in your brain of what a perfect family looks like. And that's now coded into your subconscious. And then now you are the mother of your family, and your family does not look like the Brady Bunch. there's yelling and screaming. And in the Brady Bunch family, the kids didn't say to their mother, "Fuck you," right? That didn't happen on the Brady Bunch, but that just happened in my house. So there's this mismatch between my belief of what a good mom and what a good family should look like and what's happening in my reality. And when there's that mismatch, it's really triggering for us. We have to remember. Yeah. And you're right, Jenny, the Instagram perfect family, right? Like, oh my goodness. So like you scroll through your phone. Oh my goodness, all these beautiful, and we've all done it, all these beautiful, happy families. And oh, look at that vacation. And oh, look, they've gone and done this thing. And oh, look, they're having this gorgeous family walk in the woods. And oh, they're all smiling while they're trotting through the leaves. Well, that doesn't happen with my family when we go for a walk. There's hair pulling and punching and whining. I don't want to go and all the things, right? So there's these mismatches and it's triggering for us. And we have to remind ourselves 90% of our thoughts are automatic. So they come from the subconscious brain that was programmed when we were like 5 years old, but now we're adults. So why are we letting the subconscious 5-year-old run our lives? Just because, maybe because we never stopped to think about it. Yeah, like the Norman Rockwell, we are not. So now as adults, we're learning about this conscious thinking. We're learning about emotional intelligence, and it's up to us to teach our kids, but we need to learn it for ourselves first. And I'm always over time, but I still want to go a little bit longer if you're okay with that. I hope you are. Why do we do the things we don't want to do, Beasley? Can you expand on that? I don't understand your question, and I'll try to come back to it in a minute. So when we think of our own reactions, like we sometimes yell and we lose our cool with our kids. And it's not because we're bad parents. And it's not because we're misbehaving, right? Like imagine if you lost your cool and you yelled at your kids, or you left the room crying because of something that's going on with them, and your partner wanted to consequence you for your misbehavior. Can you imagine how that would infuriate you? Did I say it? So we don't yell at our kids or lose our cool because we are choosing to. We do this because we are stressed. It's a stress behavior. We do it because we've flipped our lids. We've lost, yes, Beasley, we've lost our logical brain. We're now functioning. We're letting the limbic brain. My friends in Australia call this the caveman brain. Like this is they call this the professor brain and the caveman brain. Another friend in Australia calls this the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain. So when we're yelling at our kids, it's not because, we woke up this morning and we decided, when my son says that I am the worst mother in the world, I'm going to scream like a crazy person. I think that's what I'm going to do today. Like, no, we don't have this conscious like choice that that's how we're going to react. We flip our lid and our caveman brain is taking over, and it's the emotions that are taking over. So it's not a misbehavior, it's a stress behavior. And that's something that Dr. Stuart Shanker really teaches in his self-regulation courses. If you think of your child's behavior as a stress behavior instead of a misbehavior, that is so helpful, right? So my child isn't throwing their homework on the floor because they're misbehaving. They're doing it because they're stressed. And I think if we think of it that way, we're much more compassionate towards our kids. One of the moms in our Facebook group just shared a post about feeling very overwhelmed. And sorry, she's feeling really overwhelmed. And now I've lost my train of thought because my son is upstairs coughing too, and it doesn't sound very good. Um, so the mom in the Facebook group posted something and she said she's feeling overwhelmed, burnt out. She wants to know what to do. And one of the responses, it was actually from Allison. Allison's one of my coaching friends. One of the things that she said in the response was to remind yourself that your 6-year-old son actually has the executive functioning skills of a 3-year-old. So our kids with ADHD, they're about 30% younger emotionally and socially. And that I think is really helpful to think about, to be aware of. So when your 10-year-old is having a fit about something, that 10-year-old, even though they're in this 10-year-old body, emotionally and socially, they're more like a 7-year-old. Did I do the math right? I hope I did. So if a 7-year-old was behaving that way, you might be more compassionate, empathetic, more understanding because they're only 7. So I think that's really helpful to think about, that even though they're whatever age they're at, emotionally and socially, they're a lot younger. So they don't have the executive functioning skills. And when they're having these stress behaviors, that's it. They are stress behaviors. They're in this emotional state. And we know what that emotional state is like because we've been there, right? We don't plan to yell at our kids. It's when our emotions take over. That's the same with our kids. Their emotions are taking over and they're not thinking straight. Another thing that I find really helpful to think about is that by the time our kids are 12, our kids with ADHD, they receive 20,000 more negative comments about themselves compared to their neurotypical peers. Like, just let those numbers sink in. By the time they're 12, 20,000 more negative comments about themselves compared to neurotypical peers. And yes, it really hits their self-esteem, Beasley, like huge. How can that not? And these negative comments are coming from teachers and parents and peers and neighbors and like friends. And they're often not intentional. Like, we're not intentionally trying to be negative and hurtful. It comes out. Like, why am I always late waiting for you? You're always late. You're always losing your things. Like, because they are always late and losing their things, but or they have the conflicts at recess. And so the other kids are saying things. I remember when I would pick up my son from daycare, there'd be a lineup of kids. They couldn't wait to see me, to tattletale on all the things that my son had done at daycare that day. I didn't even get to hug and say hello to my own kid because these other little kids were like, guess what he did? Guess what he did? Oh, like, oh, the negativity. Yes, that impacts their self-esteem. Yes, it's sad, Sandy. It's so sad. Even in grade 3, I remember picking him up early to go to an appointment, and the kids would say, "Ooh, look at his writing and look at this." And like, they couldn't wait to tell me the things, like, right. How heartbreaking. What does that do to your self-esteem? So when I talked about at the beginning about, when you pick your kid up from school and at 4 o'clock, it's homework time, and there's all these factors that play into whether or not they're going to do their homework or not. I like to think of it as, what are those boards called that you go out on the lake on? A balance board. So I picture our kids, I picture us all on a balance board. And every time they get a negative comment, or they're hungry, or they're tired, or their balance is thrown off. So then you say homework, and if their balance is already completely off, they're going to fall. They're going to lose it. So I think I'm going to kind of try to wrap it up there, because I could just go on and talk about this forever. But what I'd like for you to do is, sorry, really get curious about what is underneath your child's behavior. And that's what the homework challenge is for today. So I'd like you to take some time. You can journal on it. Please share it with me in the Facebook group. What do you think is beneath your child's behavior? So the name of this challenge is How Not to Lose Your Cool, especially when your kids do. So when your kids are losing their cool, what do you think is causing it? And we'll talk more about that tomorrow. And then I'm going to give you some strategies. Tomorrow, you'll be getting some strategies on how you can prevent those escalations, how you can prevent your kid from losing their cool, and then a step-by-step action plan for what you can do when they do lose their cool. Because they're going to lose their cool all the time. They're kids and they have ADHD. It's going to happen all the time. So we want to have a plan for what to do when it happens, and a plan to prevent it from happening. And part of that plan is also knowing what triggers us so we can set up a plan to not be so triggered. So we'll get into all of that tomorrow, but your homework for tonight, and please do share it in the Facebook group. Think about what is beneath your child's behavior. So that quote I shared, there's a feeling. So what could those feelings be? There's a need that's not being met. There could be like biological factors. There's that acronym I like, HALT. Are they hungry? Are they angry? Are they lonely? Are they tired? And I'm not going to share anymore. I'll let you come up with those and then we'll go from there tomorrow. When you share in the Facebook group by doing your homework, you're building the community. We're called the ADHD village because all the villagers are valuable. I love the saying too, like, find your people, love them hard. Like, we are our people. We found each other. Like, I'm so grateful that we found each other. Like, if you've been here, you're on day 2 with me. And this has been an hour and a half again. Like, if you're sticking through this and what I'm saying is resonating with you, then I know we're on the same page. We're on the same page. We want, we want our kids to thrive, and we want to do it in loving, connected ways. We want to be able to keep our calm so we can co-regulate our kids. We know there's a better way. We're hopeful for what our kids' future is. So we are the village. We are each other's support, and we need to love and support each other. So please do comment on the homework thread for your own self. So for your own reflection, for your own benefit, for the benefit of others. And that's how you get entered in the draw to win prizes. So that's the added benefit. Before we wrap up, I would just like you to take a moment and type in the comments. Think about your intention that you set at the beginning. So was it to learn a new strategy? Was it to receive like an aha moment? Was it to learn a new fact or something? And just share in the comments, what is something that resonated with you today? Or what intention did you meet? Or what's your biggest takeaway? Or what did you receive from the call today? Or what strategy are you going to try to implement? Or what's something that you want to think more about? So just take a moment to reflect. And the reflection time is good for you to just, I've been talking for an hour and a half, so just, it helps you to kind of like summarize things. And when you put it in the writing, it helps to take it out of your subconscious and put it visually in front of you so you can see your thoughts consciously. And it also helps others too. So I'll just give you a minute to jot down your thoughts. Allison, you asked if the delay catches up at some point. I think it does in adulthood. Like they say it takes 25 years for your prefrontal cortex to fully develop, 25 years for those executive functioning skills to fully develop. But if your brain has ADHD, it takes longer. So I always joke with my kids, like, until you're 28, I will be your prefrontal lobe. And there's no like running off and getting married or moving out or anything before the age of 28, because I will be your prefrontal lobe. And of course, I'm just joking, but yeah, so I think it does eventually catch up, right? I have ADHD and I don't think I'm delayed emotionally and socially compared to my peers. So yeah, they will catch up. But it will take a while. Okay. So Jenny, something new, be aware of triggers and pre-plan how you could respond better in the future, right? We want to respond rather than react. Reminders, model social emotional awareness by labeling feelings and how they are felt. Thank you, Jenny, for sharing. Be kind. I've learned that I need to stop pushing down my feelings like a beach ball because I was taught to do this my whole life. Yeah, I think especially as girls, like be a good girl, be quiet, be a good, quiet girl, right? Bethany, model feelings and digging deeper. Stop, breathe, and reflect. I love that. Stop, breathe, and reflect. Denise, ditto to what Be Kind said. Christy, I love the beach ball analogy. Oddly, my son loves to hold the ball under him in the pool and to see it fly up. Isn't that so funny? See, our kids are such like, they're here to teach us. Jenny, you've got this. Be kind. So many of us were raised like that and we're making positive change. Yeah. And not saying anything against our parents because parents do well if they can. But we've learned more in the last 10 years about the brain, I think, than the previous 100 years combined. Like we're learning so much about how the brain works, about neuroscience, about emotional intelligence. So now we have this knowledge so we can use it. I'll just see if anyone's commenting on Facebook. TL Cat, get curious, not furious. Understanding what I can do in a triggering moment. Yeah. So thank you. Rachel, love the reminder of emotions really reflecting needs to be loved, safe, and to belong. Yeah. And to feel worthy. Like think of how many times we think that we're not enough, that we're not good enough, that we're not doing a good enough job, we're not a good enough mom, not doing all of the things. Like that enoughness, I think, is a big one for a lot of us. So thank you. I truly feel honored that you have chosen to spend this time and space with me. And I thank you for being open and vulnerable and experiencing this. And, you know, if some of these things might have felt uncomfortable to talk about and to think about. So I thank you for getting uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable. We want to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's a tricky thing to learn how to do. Neween's, my takeaway was we need to validate feelings that kids have, even if they are sad. Yeah. You're welcome, Jenny. An awesome evening, eye-opening and reassuring. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I can feel the energy of our village. And it is reassuring to know that we're not alone and that we're together. And I hope that you're feeling comfortable and supported in the ADHD village, and you feel free to post and ask questions. And I love when I see the villagers hopping on and answering questions and offering support. I certainly hop on and do that when I can. But there's nearly 3,000 villagers in there who are there to help and support. So we're stronger together, right? In our numbers, we're stronger together. So thank you so much for being here. You are amazing. You are safe. Remind yourself you are safe right now, wherever it is that you're watching. You're safe. You are valued. You are enough. You are loved. You are beautiful. I love you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I will see you tomorrow. Don't forget to do your homework. Bye.